Hello guys, Wulffx here. Today I'm going to make the tutorial which you've been long awaiting for. Like, I've left you guys ages for this, right after one day. So let's go. To begin, I'm going to make a new composition. I'm going to call this one tutorial. Now, you're going to get my mouse cursor and we're going to click this T. This will make text. So if we click somewhere, we'll get this little red line. So now we can enter the text. So our text is tutorial. I quite like the look of this font. Don't know if I'm going to keep it, because it's a bit weird for an intro. This one's also a bit weird. I've got a lot of fonts, you see, so I like to just see which one looks good. Okay, so you can double click on it so that it's selected red. This VA thing, you can change this so that the text goes closer and further away from each other. So if I scroll this to the left, it gets closer together. Scroll to the right, it gets further away from each other. So that's how you'll do this. If you want it to be further away, if you want to, or really close. I think... See, this is a very hard decision because you never know what you want. So, in this tutorial I'm going to teach you everything that's basically required to know. Right, I'm going to use Super Mario 256, I think that's a nice font. So, I'm going to scale this down a bit. And I'm going to use the Align window, which can be found in this Windows section. Checkbox the Align, it should go in the bottom right. That's where I like to have mine. So this says, you can put this on full quality for now, because you don't need it to be too low quality for the render to work. Now that you've got your text, click on it, right click and create shapes from text. Now, nothing will really happen here, so just put this underneath and show this one again, and hide the outline so it hasn't changed, has it? Let's have the gradient ramp effect. So you'll see a nice gradient comes on, and you can assign the colours here. So I'm going to swap the colours, which swaps the position of the colours, and I'm going to make a... Since my last intro was green, I think a blue intro is due its come. But that's actually going to be a next upload after this one, so I think orange seems like a good colour to choose here, so I'm going to go for a nice deep orange there and a nice yellow here. And you can then use this, so you'll see this little red dot moves about. You can put this closer to the text, and put this one also closer to the text so that you get a more powerful gradient. And then you can then adjust it so that you get a nice final result. Since I'm aiming for a reddish orangey colour here, a bit like my orangish template, which you guys should try out sometime. Here we go, so I'm quite proud of this. Let's add the CC light sweep effect. This will add the cool little shine that you see on text. As you can see, it does this shine, and then you can add that. Let's put the width to 4000, sweep intensity to 0. So now you'll see the effect in action. Put the edge intensity to 500, and then use edge thickness to make this part thicker or thinner. So extra thick or thin. I think I'm going to have this on a 10. Actually, that's a bit powerful. Let's go for a 4. Okay, 4 looks nice here. I'm proud of that. Now when you show the outlines, nothing will happen, but when you hide this one, it'll go white. So, I'm going to teach you how to do the skewed one, just like rotate it a bit in a weird way. So regardless of that, let's get into the text. At the beginning, I'm going to go for a traditional text style. So you're going to open up tutorial outlines, click contents, click add, and add a stroke. So then if you increase the stroke width, an outline will come around the text, known as a stroke in After Effects. Where it says melt join, change this to a round join. So then you'll see the outlines are nice and round instead of jagged. So Then you can adjust the stroke width to be extra thick, but that looks a bit bad. Or you can have a nice thin outline. I like to have a thin outline, personally. Or a bit thin. Something like this looks good, okay. Let's put the colour to the middle of a gradient, so click this little pin tool here, and go to about the middle of the gradient, then just make it way darker, like really darker. So now, if you turn on this, you'll see this transparent grid comes on. You can see a nice brown outline. It's hard to notice, but I can definitely see it. Hang on, oh, my stroke width looks very good. There we go. That's a nice stroke width. So, you've got a nice outline right there. Now, let's close that. So you'll see all the letters along with the stroke 1. Click Contents and then add a group empty. Put this underneath the stroke. Drag this all into group 1. Boom. So now you can duplicate that to get group 2, put that underneath group 1, open up the group 2 and just make this one the same thing but a bit darker, so make sure it isn't completely black though, because then it looks a bit weird. So just a bit darker so it looks a bit like that. Now click group 2 and add a repeater. Now this is where we are going to extrude it, so then it's going to look 3D. So open the repeater and open transform repeater 1. Put the position to 0. And then where it says 0 and 0, put the second 0 to 1. Nothing will really happen until you increase the copies. So if I put the copies to 5, for example, it's going to have extrusion. There we go. So I'm going to put the copies to about 30, 35. Actually, let's go 40. 45. There we go, I think 45 looks good. Now go into the scale and let's put this to about 99.7. There you go, some nice text. Or 99.8. Preferably I would use 99.8, but 99.7 can be used if you want. 99.9 is just it's a bit bad. Not good. So, lovely. And that's a traditional text style for, well, that text style I suppose. So then you can put this back to 100 and put the second one and the first one to 1, so then you'll get this. And I'll show you how to warp them later, but I'm going to preferably use the original style because I like that one. And let's close that. So once you've got both your groups and the repeater options that you wanted, add a stroke after clicking Contents. So click Contents, add stroke. Then you can increase the width. Turn off the other thing and you'll see the outline come on. So there you go. Let's put that to about 35. There we go, some lovely, lovely text. Now I'm going to have to teach you how to alpha matte, which is to add them cool little lines and stuff in the text, which make it look lovely. So let's just add a nice stripy outline for now. So click on this, click proportional grid, and you'll see these green lines. Go right to the end where it has this green grid. Just put it right at the end, and on the same grid, put it also right at the end. Kaboom. Oh, did a bit incorrectly there. There we go. It doesn't have to be too accurate. You don't have to go too accurate. So, here we go. Nice line. It's just a line, though. It's not zigzaggy. What are you on about, Wolf? Well, let's add the zigzag. So then you'll have this nice little zigzag thing if you increase the size. And you can have it zigzagged if you want. You can increase the ridges so it's more zigzags. But I'm going to have it on smooth. So now you'll have these little wiggly bits on the spline. So now it'll be nice and wiggly. But that's going to be on top of the text and you don't want that. So where it says text, make sure it's on toggle switches so you can see the mode, track matte and parent. Let's put this to alpha inverted matte. So now you'll see that the spline goes into the text. Nice. And then if you hide this, it'll kind of get rid of it. So, duplicate the tutorial text. Oops. duplicate the tutorial text and turn off the alpha matte for the duplicated one so it'll look like it's normal again. Now you can put brightness and contrast on, so you can then make it a bit brighter using the legacy HDR thing. So you can make that brighter or not brighter. I like to have it like this, although if you want to, you can add the fill effect and make it completely white or a different colour. So you can have it completely grey, or maybe you can grab another colour of it and make it darker there. Completely up to you how you're going to do that, but personally I'm going to use brightness. So I'm going to make this brighter on 60. Nice. I'm proud of that. Now, since you've got two of these text things which both do different things, let's add a nice bevel to them. Actually, let's not do that since we have this light sweep. I'm going to teach you how to use bevel later though, so look forward to that. Now that you've got your text, you can drag and select all of them, right click and pre-compose. Let's name this text. Pretty simple, but it's that. So now you can add the warp effect, which will make it look mega bendy, but don't worry about that. So for this text style, if you increase the vertical distortion to about 35, or 25 preferably, you'll see it like bends back, like this. So it'll bend back and forward. So that's cool and all, but what about the other text style? It doesn't do a little bendy thing. Well, if we have the skew on the transform thing, so if I go and grab the transform effect, put it onto the text, and then if you change the skew to be about -10, you'll see it does do the little bend rotation thing. Does it different ways, and to make it italics, which you could actually use for this text style, put it to 90 and then increase the skew positively, not negatively, and you'll get a skew. Or make it look like it's italics. So if I add this to warp and put that back to 25, you'll kind of see what it does there. Adds that nice effect. I'm not going to do that. I just like this. Okay, so now let's import a song. So press Ctrl and then I on the keyboard, and you'll bring up this menu. So go into your downloads and look for the song that you want, or wherever you have your song. I have got my song somewhere, because I prepared for this video really well, so there's the song. Drag your song below the text, and now when you play it by pressing space, you'll hear the song in the background, but it won't be at the point that you want it to be. That's a problem. So now I'm going to put this to quarter quality. It'll make it look pixelated, but it'll be easier to render. So if I drag, so if you click on it and highlight it like this, and you drag it to the left, now when you play it, it'll be at a certain point in the song. So if you keep dragging along until you can find the drop. Oh, that's a bit too far along. So left and right until you find the song. You're going to want to make sure there's about a 5-second fade in, about a 3-second or 4-second fade in. Cool. I found the drop there, so let's open up this song. Click audio and then open the waveform. So you'll see these nice little waves. Look for the drop in the song. Right here is where my song drops. Let's just add a keyframe with this stopwatch. Go to the start of the composition and then drag this to the left until it goes completely flat. So then you'll kind of see it goes upwards. I'm personally going to have this a bit closer because I'm going to teach you how to do a swirl. and that's going to be cool. Cool. I like that. Now let's look for a fade out point. Okay, here's a nice fade out point. Make the fade out about as long as the fade in, but a bit longer. And once again, lower it until it goes flat. And right where it goes flat, this is where you're going to want to put the composition settings. So, in composition settings, make sure the frame rate is 60. And make sure the duration matches where the endpoint is. So mine is going to be at 14, then 47 frames. So now you'll notice that the fade out of the song is right on the end. So now when you play it, cool. So now that we've got the song sorted out, let's begin making some text animations, and then we'll do some other shapes and stuff, and then we can sort out sync. So let's begin with scale. So this is how we're going to do a bounce. Okay, about here looks good. I'm going to grab my bounce script. So you can use this bounce script to make bounce things, so I'm going to teach you how that works here. So if you hold Alt, then click on the stopwatch, these numbers will go red, but don't worry about that, you haven't broken After Effects or anything yet. And you'll see this white text box. Get rid of the transform.scale so it's empty, and then just paste it in. Nothing will happen. Nothing at all. But let's keyframe it, and put this to a 0 scale, right where it bounces. Let's only a few frames long, so it has to be a very short keyframe, and put this to 100. So now when I play it, we've got a nice bounce right there. You can make this closer for a more powerful bounce like that, or you can make it more further away for a less powerful bounce. I like powerful bounces personally. Cool. I'm proud of that. Look for a point where you want it to rotate, so I think about here looks like a good point to rotate. So press R on your keyboard. Yeah, I forgot to mention that there's hotkeys. So you know how it's only getting the scale? Press S to get to the scale, and then R to get to the rotation. So click on R and then click the stopwatch. So right here is where I want my rotation to happen. You want this rotation to last about 2 seconds for it to be smooth. And put this to 360 on the second one. So that'll put it at 360 degrees. So now when you play it, you'll see this pretty horrible looking spin. But that's where we use easing. So if you drag and select both these keyframes, which will go blue when they're selected, and press F9 on your keyboard, or right click keyframe assistant and easy ease right there, and it says F9. So now when you play it, it'll look a bit more smooth, but you won't really notice it that much. So once again, select them both, and here is the speed graph. So you want to open that up and right click and make sure it's on speed graph. So you'll see these, it's like it bounces. That's basically how it's speeding up and stuff. So if you drag and select them both, you'll see these yellow things. And if I move this over here, you'll see it does that. So you can move this one closer and you'll get a sharp one. Or you can put them both near to the middle, do something like this. And if you put this right at the end and put this all the way to the right, you get that. So I'm going to personally use something like this. And I'm going to put this one a bit to the right. That's a bit too slow of a rotation, let's speed that up a bit. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now when you play the whole thing from the start, Cool, I like that. Look at a bounce and a rotation. Pretty basic steps to an intro, but this is probably your first intro if you're looking at this tutorial, so there you go. Next, now that we've got the bounce, rotation and song sorted out, let's begin with a background. So on the project menu right here, right click, new composition, and let's put this as BG for background. So to begin, I'm going to start by right clicking new solid, and I'm going to put this solid to be black, 1920 by 1080. I like 1080p intros. Press OK. So nothing will really happen until you click on the black solid and add another gradient ramp. So you'll see a gradient comes on the solid, so once again you can adjust the colours so that it works with it. I personally like to have my bottom colour darker, but that is completely up to you. Okay, yeah, I like this. So now let's start by making some nice shapes. So on the rectangle tool, if it's like a triangle or something, you can press Q to toggle through them until you get a rectangle tool, which shows up in this white bar here. Double click it and you'll see a white box surrounds it. So it'll automatically open up with content on rectangle. So open up a rectangle, then open up a rectangle path, and then unlink the size, so nothing will really happen for now, and put them both to 800. So instead of 1920 by 1080, put it to 800. So you'll see you get a square now. Let's come off there and press R to open up a rotation, and let's put that to 45. And you don't need to keyframe this for now, at least. So I would put the stroke width to 60 and make sure it's white. So you can make it thicker if you want, but I personally prefer to have 60 or 70. And now you can increase the scale here and see how it would look when it's scaling up. So put the scale to 0, add a keyframe and go to about 1 second and put it to 100. So now when you play it, it'll come up here. So 100 isn't good though, you want it to come all the way out, so increase the scale until it does come all the way out. So now when you play it, boom. About 1 second is good. I like that. It's a good speed for it. So I'm going to keep this as white, I'm not going to add anything to it. And you can duplicate it by pressing Ctrl+d and then move it to the right until it's just about off like this. So now when you play it, make sure they don't touch like that either. That doesn't look good if it's touching. So this one, I'm going to change the stroke colour to a nice orange. Obviously you can choose your colour here. And now we're going to add the effect Venetian Blinds. Make sure it isn't the one which says effect, but the one which is 32 in the transition section. So nothing will happen for now, so put the direction to 90 and increase the width to about 40. Now if you increase the transition completion, you'll notice, whoa, put this in full quality so it looks nicer. You've got these little things like most intros have. You can increase the width so there's less or more of them, so I can have loads of them if I want. I'm going to have it a bit like this on 20. I like to use 20. I think it looks pretty good. And I'll have the width as 65. Obviously all of these settings are completely up to you. You can choose them. So now when I play it, I get 2 of them. Just scaling up. And let's keyframe these shapes. Just the shape layers, not the black solid. So if I select both of them, pre-compose them, so let's put this as BG shapes. And then I'm going to add the echo effect. So it'll kind of become a bit orange and yellow here. It'll look a bit weird, but don't worry. Put the echo time a bit lower, and just mess with it until you get something like this, so it looks like it's keep going. Add a drop shadow to this, and drag that underneath the echo. So if I move the distance to about 20, and put the opacity to about 30. You'll have a nice drop shadow going on here, so it's easier to see the background now. So now when I play it, but it doesn't go on forever, that's the thing, you want it to loop. So if you increase the number of echoes to about 35, it'll keep going for a very long time. There we go, all the way to the end of the animation. Cool. If you want to, you can... Here's another thing I forgot to mention. You can duplicate these Venetian blinds and put this to 0. So then you get these squares. I'm actually going to keep that on since I haven't used that in a good while. Cool. So what else can we add to the BG? Well, there's not much else I could add other than more advanced techniques, which I don't want to teach you now because I want to teach you enough that will be memorable to the point where you won't forget stuff. So now if we go back onto the tutorial comp, again, the background won't just automatically apply itself. You go into the project and put the background underneath it. So now when you play the whole intro, you'll see it looks like that. I want that spin to be a bit quicker. Okay, so the thing is, the text doesn't really stand out. It looks as if you've just made a mobile intro and just placed some text on top of a stolen background. That isn't what we're aiming for. We want it to look completely custom. So let's click on the text and add the drop shadow effect, another drop shadow, but don't use the same settings. Put the direction to 180 and increase the distance to about 40. Put the opacity to 100 for now, and then increase the softness until it makes a nice text shadow. I mean, you can decrease the opacity and stuff until it's a nice, not too powerful but significant shadow. And okay, I'm gonna go for 55, 60 on the distance, and 155 for the softness. So now when I play it, isn't this already looking pretty cool, guys? I think it's looking nice. You can see in the comments below if you want to, I don't really know. So, we've got some cool things, haven't we? I'm pretty happy with this animation so far. I'm not going to be using any plugins in case you guys don't have them. But I don't know if you have them or not. That's for you to tell me. You'll just have to figure the plugins out yourself, or you could ask other designers, or maybe use tutorials. But I'm not going to teach you how to use them because not everyone has plugins, so people will try and look for the effect and they'll be like, where is it? It's gone. It didn't disappear, it's just a plugin. You've got to buy it or crack it if you're an illegal guy. So I'm going to make a burst. So let's go into a project and new composition, burst. What I'm going to name it. Make sure it's always on 60 FPS or 30 FPS if you like that. Boom, it's a new composition. What did you expect? Click on this again and put proportional grid back on. So put the pen tool on and white stroke with a 60 pixel once again. 60 is good for bursts. So zoom in, so put your mouse right in the middle and just zoom all the way in. So right where it is in the middle, click and go about 3 squares, so we're going to do it. So right here, and put your dot there. So there we go, nicely lined up. You can press fit to put it back to the thing, so if it's like zoomed out really badly, fit, there you go. So let's open it up and open up the contents and add the trim paths. So now when you open up the trim paths, if you decrease the end, you'll see it like does this. So we'll put the end to 0 and keyframe both of them. So about 1 second, go to about 1 second, and put the start to 100 and the end to about 50. 50 or 60 is good for this. I preferably use 50. But that's up to you to decide. So you'll get something like this. So select all them keyframes and easy ease them again with F9 of course. Select both of these and I would zoom in for this using this little zoom in thing here. And just drag this yellow one all the way to the left. Like as far as you can get it to go. So now when you play it, you get something like this. Now it's looking like a good burst, isn't it? But it's not completely complete. Go to where it's like on this really high wave point, but don't get it too much further than that. And then come up the speed graph. And open up the shape. And where it has the stroke, put the stroke width to 0. Oh wait, no. Put it to 60. Keyframe it. And then hold shift and go right to the thing so it like snap with shift, so it like snap onto the keyframe. And put the stroke width to 0. So now when you play it, there's 1. And then you're thinking, don't tell me I have to duplicate this like 16 times. Nope. Turn off a proportional grid by going back on there and then clicking proportional grid. And add, once again, a repeater. So if you open up a repeater settings and go into the transform repeater, once again, position 0. Don't change any position things though. Ooh, that's not what we're doing here. I would put this to 22.5. Or preferably I would use 45. And then put the copies to about 8 if you're using 45. Or if you're using 22.5, put it to 16. So now we'll get 8 of those things. But that's cool and all. But it's just like, that's boring. Well, never fear. Ctrl+d, duplicate it so nothing's going to happen for now, and rotate it until it looks just about there. Preferably if you're using 45 degrees and repeater, 22.5 is there. So you can adjust the stroke color here, so I'm going to put the stroke color to, once again, the orange to suit the theme. So now when you play it, you get this. Lovely, isn't it? You can offset this top one just a little bit, and you'll see they like come separately from each other, like this. Blue. So go back to the tutorial and drag the burst and put it above the BG. So nothing's gonna happen for now. Drag this just until it's like really short because it's only a burst here, and put this to the point where you want the burst. So I'm gonna listen for. I like to put it with bounce. So about here is good, we're into nice and small, and then so right where it like disappears, like that, put the end in bit so like you drag it, don't move it. This is optimized for render so that it doesn't take as long. So it's not really seeable, so once again drop shadow 35 or 25 preferably, opacity 30, and there you go. But that's just one burst. We want more than that, don't we? I'm having one right here, so I'm gonna add one right there. Now when I play it, I'll have 2. So just use Ctrl+d and move them around until you like the look of it. I like to have quite a lot of bursts, especially in an intro which is basic like this one. So I'm gonna have 3 here. Actually, I'm gonna have 4, so I'm gonna put one right here. So it's the same burst over and over again, so if you want to change things up, you can rotate by 22.5 if you use my method. so that the orange bit comes on, although you will see this happens, so I wouldn't always do that. That's just a disclaimer. Or you could even use the fill effect if you want them all to be the same colour. I'm happy with my first setup right here. Now I think it's time to add some of my favourite things in the universe, splines. I love a good spline, don't you? Well, everyone loves a good spline. I'm going to teach you multiple spline designs, because there's a lot of designs when it comes to splines, and you need them all, because it's crucial, trust me. So, go on the pen tool, put the stroke colour to white and 60. I would put it from a corner. So go to somewhere on the screen and just click and then drag. So then you'll see it like bends based on the way that you drag it. So I'll have mine like this. Put that up there. And then I'll have one. It's good to have a way so that it like curves around the text so that it's visible and not just going under the text. And then I'll have it like this. And you can also adjust them afterwards if it's a bit too weird. And I'll have it cut through where the text would be right here. That's always good to add, and then I'll put it like that, and I'll put it just about in the corner. So you'll see this jumbled mess of a drawing, but don't worry about that. Open it up, add another trim paths, and it's not the same idea, this is totally different. Put the end to 0, so you'll see if you increase it slowly, it draws it. So this you'll understand later. So if I adjust these trim paths, you see I got like a little spine here. So I put the end to 0 and start to 0, keyframe them both and go to about, I would say about 6 seconds, and put them both to 100. So nothing's going to happen for now at least. So if you drag and select the top ones, they're the start, not the end, and just drag them to the right. So you'll notice if you go about halfway in, you can notice it like gets thicker and thinner. Well, not thicker and thinner, but like longer. I would like to have mine about this long. So now when I play it, I have this little spline moving around, enjoying his life. Cool. Let's just select them all and just press F9. You don't need to open up the menu either. You'll notice it kind of gets a bit thicker at certain points, so if you don't like it that thick, you can easily adjust that. So that will be a traditional spline. Like, it's pretty boring, it's traditional, it's normal. Now let's go for the next version of this spline, which is pretty easy. So if you open up again, but close the trim paths and open up the shape, in the stroke you can put butt cap to round cap, and now you'll see it's got a rounded edge on the spline. Cool, isn't it? So that's totally up to you if you want it to be like that. Personally, I'm going to keep that on because you can do something cool with that later. So I'm going to now put a stroke around the spline. Pretty easy, you can do it with other spline design that I was showing you earlier. If you right click it, oh look, my dogs came to us. Hello doggy. Okay, so if I click on the shape layer 1 and right click and go into the layer styles and click on the stroke, you'll see this little stroke at the bottom, so open it up, and if you are in full quality you can see this little red stroke comes around it. So you can adjust the size, so make sure that this position's on the outside, and you can adjust the size until you have a nice, I would put this on 12, that looks good, and just put this to the accent colour of the intro, so in my case it's an orange. So now when you play it, you've got this spline with an outline moving around. So that's cool. Oh yeah, the layer styles thing. When you were right clicking on that, you probably noticed there was things like drop shadow, inner shadow, so you can use them and pick them out yourself if you want to add cool little text effects and stuff. And then that's pretty cool. So I like this. Got a nice spline around it. Not spline, outline. So you can keep that spline design, or you can move on to the next one, which I'll teach you right now. You don't have to try it out, but you can totally try it out if you want to. So the next one, you've probably seen this one before as well. If you duplicate and put this a bit to the right, it'll look longer for now, but put the stroke width to about 40, or just half of that amount that you've put it earlier, so 60, half of that is 30. You can even put equations into it and you'll know what to do. So if you put 60/2, which is 60 divided by 2, it'll figure it out and find that it's 30. So if you've got a stroke width of about 67 or something, and do 67/2, 33.5, that would be the answer. Pretty cool, that feature, isn't it? Works on any keyframe or anything which is a number. So, again, 30, and put this to the accent colour of the intro, and you will see, now when you play it, there's this little thing that follows it. So if you can put it really close or really far away. I wouldn't put it like this, although you could if you want like 2 splines coming around it. That works too, but you can put this on top, and it'll make this cool little nice spline design. So if you put this orange one underneath, it also has a little trail coming out the back of the spline. I'm going to keep that on top. And the next thing I'm going to tell you about is if you put this to a thinner amount, like 10, so it's going to look very, very thin. So if you duplicate the white one and also put this offset about the same amount, and now if you put shape layer 1 alpha matte, alpha inverted matte, if you adjust the offset a bit, you get this kind of thing going on. And on this one, which will not have the eye, put this one to about 30 or 40 preferably, and you'll eventually get this. This is a pretty cool spline. You've probably seen Wulffx use it. If you haven't seen him, subscribe, because he basically taught me, but I'm not going to use that because I don't want it. I'm happy with this spline for now. I'll put this back to 30 as it used to be. This kind of looks like a Pyrocat effect spline, pretty easy to make really. So, if you didn't like that orange... Okay guys, my camera cut out there for no reason, but that's no problem. So, once I've got these splines, I can duplicate them and put them on rotation 180, so then you'll see I get 2. Pretty lovely. I'm quite happy with that spline design. Yes, I'm quite happy with that spline design for now, but 2 splines, if you ask me, doesn't cut it, that's not enough. So I'm going to add some little splines on a stroke 20 and a thickness of, well, thickness of 20 and a stroke colour of white. So I'm going to put this to about there, I'm going to put this one about there, and this one, I'm going to put this one here, I'll put this one here. And I'll have this one to cut through the text. And I think it'll just go into the side like that. I think that'll look pretty cool. So once again, I'll add the trim path. So 0 and 0, and then a few seconds in. And I'll put it to 100 and 100. Ease them, move the top one a bit. And boom, I've got this little spline moving about. It's a bit fast, I think I should slow it down a bit. Okay, there we go. Move to that spline, and then I'll maybe I'll go back into layer styles once again and add a stroke. And I'll put the stroke colour to them. Oh god, I changed that stroke colour, not the layer style stroke colour, which comes at the bottom right there. Whoopsie daisy there. So I'll put this on full quality so I can see it a bit better. I'll have that thickness on 8, I think that looks pretty good. And once again, I can duplicate that and put it by 180. And I have 2 little splines moving about. Now even duplicate them. As I was saying earlier, I can offset these and rotate them a bit so they look like different splines. We're completely different to each other, yet somewhat seem the same. It's a pretty cool little effect, but it works. So then there's a load of splines on the screen, you think, wow, that's a pretty detailed intro. And that's kind of the illusion with the little splines along with the big splines. You should also put the big splines, which are the 4 ones at the bottom here, above them little splines, so they seem like they're the star of the show. So I'll go back on the tutorial thing, and I will apply the splines. So I'll put the spline above the BG, just like this. And just like the burst, I'll put it to about a few seconds, and right where the bounce is, this is where I'll put the spline, so right when it's about that small. Let's put the start right there. And put it a bit before that, actually. So you see the spline start coming in right there. So this is the point where I want to put it on quarter quality, because it'll be hard to render it on full quality. So I'll just look for where the splines end. Or the music end, really. So about there, that's a good ending point. Also, when the scale of the text is about 0, which it is 0 right there, I've cut that off, so then it deals with less render time. So there's more time to enjoy your intro. There we go. So I've kind of offset the text as well, so I can't really sort that out, but that's okay. Okay, let's add a drop shadow to the splines, so I'm going to copy the one from the burst, like this, over the effects, problems, things, drop shadow, and copy it, paste it, there we go. So then you get the splines, which look like they're popping out with the drop shadow and stuff. Cool. Now let's add a fractal burst. So fractal burst. So I'm going to make a black solid, like that, and we're going to look for the fractal noise effect. So we'll grab that. Let's put the contrast to about 300, and then put the brightness to about 2. Let's put the complexity to 20, and keyframe evolution, go right to the end of the comp, so make sure the keyframe for the evolution there was at the start. Go right to the end of the comp and just change this little number here where it says X, put that to 4. So now, when you play it, you'll notice like the fractal animates itself and it looks cool. So that's cool. Let's open up the transform and turn off uniform scaling, and put the scale height to 10,000. So you'll get this. So now that we've got this, let's add a mask to it, so we're going to animate the fractal. So on the black solid, if it's on like something else like the rounded rectangle tool, for example, you don't want that. Press Q to change it to the rectangle tool, so you'll eventually get the rectangle tool as it says in the white. Double click it, so you'll see this orange or whatever colour your mask would be. Make sure this is on so that you can actually see this little orange outline. Click the mask and double click the edge. So you can open up the mask, go to about half a second, so I'll zoom in to get half a second right there. Put a keyframe there, and put a keyframe right at the start. So on this starting keyframe, put this bottom bit and just drag it all the way to the top like this. And make sure you can't see any of it on the black screen. You should probably put it on full full quality so you can see what's going on there. So now when you play it, the mask will be animated and you'll see it like do that, so it'll kind of draw the mask like that. So on this middle one, which you're going to hold shift to snap onto it, select it by clicking on it. It'll look like the mask, and just drag the bottom bit up and the top bit down a bit, so something like this, so it looks like it's got a black shutter or something. Looks good. So now when you do it, you'll get that. Go to 1 second and then put another mask path keyframe and put this all the way at the bottom and put the top one once again all the way at the bottom. So now you'll get that. So you can add mask feather, which will like add a little fade to the edges. That's basically what it means whenever something says feather on some kind of graphical art program. It means this. Idea of it basically having like a faded edge. That's what that means. So there you go. Nice. Just does its thing and it moves. Now let's add the polar coordinates effect. Polar coordinates. Let's put it to rectangular and increase it all the way. So now on the mask you want to put it to inverted, so check this box where it says inverted. So it'll look a bit stupid for now, so when you play it you'll kind of get this thing and then it stays and it looks a bit weird because it's basically inverted the way that the mask works. So that black bit is what the white bit would be. So just put the add to subtract and it'll look like this. So you'll see that it has like a little circle at the end there. And well, we don't want that circle, do we? No, we want it to be crisp and perfect. So let's do it. Let's make it so that it doesn't have this weird white edge. So let's add the transform effect and just put it above polar coordinates. Now increase the scale until it hits the edges. Yeah, this mask thing was crucial because if I turn it off and go back to how it would look, you'd get this where it has like a camera kind of thing and it would look a bit strange. Yeah, you don't want that, so if I put that back to normal, you'll see it just works, you know, it just works. So if that's a bit too fast for your taste, you can make it longer by just extending the way the keyframes are. But I'm happy with my speed, so I'm going to add the hue / saturation effect in the color correction section. And I am going to put it into bottom effect thing and add the colorize effect. So you'll notice it goes a bit red. That's expected. Increase the color saturation all the way to 100, so now it's got like this extreme red, and just adjust it until you get the color that you want. So I wanted this color, and I've got this color. Oh, could just go a bit to the left. There we go. So now when I play it, it's orange. Cool. Now let's add the glow effect. When you add a glow, it'll look a bit weird for now, but that's okay. Just increase the glow radius until you get something which looks nice, but like don't have the glow radius too high, so I would suggest having the glow radius on 250. That looks pretty cool. Adding the glow makes it look like it's some kind of shock effects fractal burst, and it looks a lot nicer and higher quality. Yep, that's cool. I'm happy with mine. For a second I thought After Effects crashed here. So yeah, pretty cool looking. You could also add any other effect that you may know. So for example, I could duplicate this perhaps and add CC Radial Fast Play, which is an effect that does something pretty cool. I'll actually show you how to use that later because I probably should teach you that because it's a good effect, trust me on that one. So now when I play it, it'll have like a different kind of way that it works. So it kind of has that like flash thing to it, but I don't want that flash thing, so I'm happy with just this. Traditional, lovely, good. You can also decrease the square width so that it like has more to it, so there's a lot going on with it, or you can increase it so that you get something like that. I personally like to have my scale width on about 60. Or even 50 if you wanted. So I'm going to keep mine on 50. And so now we've got the splines and stuff. Let's look for a point where this fractal burst belongs. I'm going to play it from the start because it's looking lovely at the moment. Okay, I think about here looks good for a fractal burst. So, for some reason I have two compositions. That's weird. I want to get rid of this one. Okay, so let's put this fractal burst above the bursts in the splines so that it like comes up anew. So once again, close it up like that, and I'll put it right there. So cut it off like right where you can't see anymore. So you'll notice it has like a black bit and covers up the whole screen, which is bad. So make sure you're on the mode, track, matte, and parent thing, or click on the fractal burst and where it says normal right here, change that to add or screen. So now you'll notice it gets rid of the black bits and like the colours blend with it. I think I've made that orange a bit too weird, so I'm going to make the orange more orangey. There we go. Okay, yeah, so as I promised, I'm going to teach you how to use CC Radial Blur with text. So if I just duplicate the text using Ctrl+d, the shadow will look a bit more powerful for now, but that's not what we want. So remove the shadow and just add CC Radial Fast Blur, and then put this top one with the CC Radial Fast Blur underneath. And if you increase it now, you'll see a little glow comes out. The glow isn't very visible, so add the actual glow effect and increase that. If it's like too powerful and too easy to see, you can press T, which will bring up the opacity menu, and you can adjust the opacity to how you want, or you could even put it on screen so then it blends, but I would personally just use opacity. So there we go, cool. The text is like a really good start visual. You can see what's going on in the background, but you can also see the text quite clearly, which is what you want. Okay, let's work on this wheel. So let's go into a project and new composition. I'm going to call this a swirl. A lot of people out there would refer to it as a radial wipe, but this is what a swirl is. I'll show it on screen right now. Cool, so that's what a swirl is, in my definition at least. So now that you're on the swirl composition, let's press Q to toggle until you get this ellipse tool, which is like a weird circle right there. So double click on it and you'll notice there's this oval shape. So let's just click on the actual word stroke and just put it on a red line so that it's gone. And then where it says fill right here, put this on this one. And put it to white so you'll get this big circle. And then open up the ellipse path, and just like the squares from earlier, but don't put it on 800, put it on 200 instead. Yeah, 200, pretty good. So now we're going to add the radial wipe effect. So when I add this, you'll notice it like does this, you know, pretty cool. Put it to anti or counterclockwise in this case, because After Effects is weird. So we'll get a circle. Now what? Well, close up the contents and open up the effects. Look for the radial wipe, there it is. And let's just put the transition completion to 100. So it'll disappear, boring. Keyframe it. And put it to about 1.5 seconds. And put it to 50. So it'll do that. But that's boring, we need to ease it. So select both of them. Once again, press F9, or you can right click and press E to ease on the keyframe assistant. nothing will really happen for now, but when you go back and select it, when you go back and select it and open up the speed graph, select both of the dots and just move this right one all the way to the left, just like a normal burst. So now, you could actually ease this however you want, really. I could put it as like something like that, which I think I'm actually going to use. I'm going to use that type of easing because it looks good. So that's one circle. Where's the whole radial wipe, Wolf? You're boring. No, I'm not. I would suggest zooming in quite a bit at this point so you can like see the individual 15, 30, 45 frames. Because this part you're going to have to get in depth with the thing. Like all the way frame definition. So go to about near the end of a radial wipe, a bit like this, so it looks like it's a third. And I'm going to go all the way back here. I'm going to click on it, duplicate it. So duplicating it's going to do nothing for now. But don't worry. This is the part where we're going to have to use this zoom in thing here. So just add 100 to that. So if you do 100 plus 100, 200. Pretty easy. And if you offset it, you see it'll like do that. So offset it by about 3 frames. Duplicate it and once again offset it by about 3 frames. And just once again plus 100 equals 300. And keep going with the consistency. So add 100, 400, add another 100, that would be 500. There we go. It should go up to a 1100 in the scale. So now it's nice, but that's only a half. That's not what we're looking for, is it? Well, it is what we're looking for technically. Select this shape layer 1. Hold Shift, then click shape layer 11, so that it'll like have loads of these dots on the screen, and it'll select both of them here. Both of them means like all of them right here. So I'm going to pre-compose that into what I'm going to call matte swirl. So if I duplicate it and offset it, as it said in the name with matte, we're going to add an alpha matte, inverted. So make sure the top one's offset. So now when you play it, you'll get like this thin thing. So make sure it's about that thick. So now, once again, we are going to do this, and let's call this dupe swirl. So we're going to duplicate it here. So just duplicate the dupe swirl composition and just put it by 180. So now when you play it, you'll have that. So now you're thinking, wow, that's definitely the swirl that I was looking for. But we're not done. Oh no. Let's add some colour to the swirl. So let's once again pre-compose them. And let's put this to colour swirl. That's what I'm going to call it, colour swirl. So I'm going to keep this one as white. And then I'll put the next one, so offset this second one on top. And then add the fill effect, which will become red. So you'll see what's happening here as you like offset, keep duplicating it pretty much. So now when you play it, there's a white and a red. Let's put this red one to be the accent colour, which in my case is orange. Yours could be different. And let's offset it again, kind of in the same way. And let's put this one to, I think I'm going to choose black for this one. So I'll probably turn this on so that you can like see. So I've got white, orange, black. I like the look of that. So put that all, and then just call this one Echo Swirl. And as in the name, add the effect Echo, just like how we did in the backgrounds. Let's put this back a bit until it just about works with it. So now when you play it, that like keeps going consistently. And just put that number of echoes to about 8. So now when you play it, it'll do this and then keep looping forever. Like it should do. Well, not forever, but for a good while. So on the part. So this is the point where I think the swirl should happen, so I'm going to put this right at the bottom below the background and everything. And I'm just going to put this off, just like the other things, and put the start of the composition right where I want the swirl to begin. So now when I play it, I think it should start a bit earlier than that. So it kind of like cuts to it. That's not what we want though, is it? Well, we can sort that out pretty easily. Right where it bounces out, which is about there, let's add the CC Light Wipe effect. So CC Light Wipe will do this when you increase the completion on the background. So yeah, make sure you put CC Light Wipe on the background, so then when you increase it, you'll get this weird thing. Don't worry about it. Change the intensity to 0 and put it to a reverse transition. Then just put the completion to 100 and put a keyframe and go to when the text is about like that. So go to a point where it'll be nice and smooth, about a second long. Open up the effect and then just put a keyframe at 0 completion. So we'll select both of these and press F9. And once again, open up the speed graph menu, and I'm just going to put this all the way to the left. So now it'll look like this. I'm probably going to turn the alpha thing on for this. Let's add some shapes, because we can't just have a boring swirl that looks like that, so let's add some circle bursts to make it seem more complex and have more animations. Circle bursts are pretty easy to make, so let's go and make a circle burst, also known as a circle top. So if that rings a bell, then there you go. So it's kind of the same story as earlier. Double click ellipse, but this time turn off the fill by clicking on the red line after clicking on the text fill, and just put the stroke back on. There we go. So let's put the stroke width to 80 for the circle burst, and put the ellipse path to 400 by 400. And now let's put the scale to 0 by pressing S and going on the scale. Keyframe the scale, and once again go to about 1 second, just like the burst, and put it to 100. So now when you play it, you'll get that. Select them both. Once again, easy ease. By either pressing F9 or right clicking and then keyframe the system, blah blah blah. And then once again, we're just going to drag this all the way up left. You'll find that's quite a good thing to do when it comes to intros. So just like a burst, look for the high point in this little speed graph. That's about right there. And we'll open it up, go to the ellipse, and look for the stroke width. So I'll keyframe that there, and right at the end, let's put the stroke width to 0. So now, I get that. Cool. That's exactly what we needed. So, circle bursts are really easy, but I think if we're going to make a nice circle burst thing, we don't want to just have one circle burst. Let's have loads of them popping everywhere. So, we could go full berserk, which I think is a good idea here. So, I'll just drag this one, I think, about here, and I'll set it to the colour. I'm probably going to copy the hex code so that I can do this a few times, so then we can offset to the right and just keep duplicating the moving about, offset it, maybe go to the right. You want to have a lot of them like going on at the same time, so that's a good thing to suggest. So now when I play it, I've got, you can see, ooh, that one kind of messed up the anchor point. It happens, eh? It happens. So now to play it, I've got a few of them happening. I think you should just go full berserk, add as many circle bursts as you possibly can in any random location, and offset time like this by just dragging it to the left and right and stuff. And obviously put the colours on until you just think that you're happy with the look of your animation. So this doesn't have to be the exact same, it's totally up to you how you want yours to look. I think mine is going to look pretty cool when I do this. So now that I've got a bunch of them popping, I want it to happen repeatedly over and over again. So echo, I'm going to just call this echo pops. Actually, I'm not going to use echo for that. Let's duplicate it and put it at 180 and offset it right at the point where like they all start going quite thin there, and then add the pop. So then it looks like that they're just completely randomized as if it's all part of the animation. But when really it isn't. So now if we go back to this and add our circle burst composition, put that right above the spline, and obviously cut that off just like the other shapes, and look for a point where it's pretty much just about fill up the screen like this. So right when it's about like halfway through filling the screen, put the composition there and add a drop shadow, and let's just increase this softness. Actually, let's not do that. Put it into 25 and just put the opacity to 30. So now make sure the circle bursts go right above the swirl. Boom. Cool animation, cool intro and stuff, lovely. And now I'm going to just make one more shape, which I'm going to show on screen right now. Cool. Let's make that shape. So let's make a, I don't really know what to call that one, I'm just going to call that one a line wave. I don't know what to call it personally, you can call it whatever you want. And once again, proportional grid. Pretty simple. Put the stroke color to white, and I would put the stroke width to 120 for this one. So once again, zoom in right in the middle, and instead of putting it to the right, put it all the way to the top. So make a straight line going all the way to the top. Doesn't have to be too straight. Actually, let's put it to 110, so it's a bit... Yeah, let's just keep it on 120 because it would take very long. So, just like earlier, let's add some trim paths after opening it up. And just like a burst, 0, and then go to 1 second. But this time, put it all the way at the end. So, then offset it. So this is a bit like a spline, but then you offset it and drag it over to the left like a burst. So then you'll get that. But that's just one, you want more than that, don't you? Well, let's do just that. So duplicate it, and then put it to the right until it just about connects with it, then offset it. So now when you play it, you should probably offset it by only 1 frame. Or even 3 frames, just like a normal swirl would. So I'm going to duplicate that, move it to the right so that it works with it. You're going to want to make sure there's no black edges that can be seen on it, because that will just make it look cheap and badly constructed. So boom, that's at the edge of the screen. So now when I play it, I get this. Let's pre-compose all of them, and let's just call that element. So, on this element composition, let's add the mirror effect. And on the mirror effect, where it says reflection center, put this first one to 960. So, now it'll kind of just look like a normal spline again. Then put the reflection angle to 180, and now you'll see, there we go, it's completely mirrored. So duplicate it, and just put it at 180, and there we go. Instantly made that nice shape. And just like this swirl, let's colour it in. So element coloured, and once again offset it and add the fill effect. And I'm just going to go with what happened on the swirl. So in black, but you don't want to add echo to this because then it will look a bit weird. So now I'm going to play it with the alpha transparency thing on. There we go, so just like a spline, let's add the line wave on top of the burst, but underneath the fractal burst. Look for a point where you think it should go. I would suggest putting it in quite an empty part like this one, and I'll just add it right there. So when you definitely see the animation end, that's why you want to cut it off. And I'll add a drop shadow and 30 opacity and 35 on the distance. And now you'll find that when you play the whole animation, you've pretty much got a finished intro. However, it's not finished. You'd be like, wow, I made a finished intro. No, you didn't. We still need to add sync and a shutter and some magic bullet looks that isn't magic bullet looks, it's just a few curve settings and stuff, which will basically make colours look better. So, I think that I'm just going to use expression sync because S-Shake is part of the Sapphire plugin, which you guys probably don't have, so let's just make what Wulffx used for sync. It's pretty sad, I know, but it has to be that way, so right click and then new adjustment layer, so I've just done that right now. Make sure that adjustment layer is on top of everything, including the text and stuff. Then add the effect transform, just like we used for one earlier. So don't edit with any of the settings, don't like do that to the intro because we don't want that. Just don't touch transform for now. Add a new null object, so you'll find that you get something like null 1. And by the way, the scripts that I was talking about earlier, like the bounce script, are in the description, so add the effect called slider control, and just don't touch it. Just do not touch. I will use my script for position, scale, and rotation, it says. So on the position one, just highlight that whole thing and copy it by using Ctrl+c. Now go on the adjustment layer and open up the effects and go into the transform, so you'll get the stuff right there. Hold Alt and click on the stopwatch once again to open up the expression manager. So I put it in like a order where it will go position, scale, and rotation, just like on After Effects compared to the thing. So copy this and just put this into the position. Once again, Alt, click, and then copy the scale one. Just put that there, and then hold Alt and just click for rotation, and Control that, Ctrl+c that, and Ctrl+v. So now nothing's going to happen for now, but if you go into the null object and put the slide control at 1, you'll see it start shaking around like it's zoomed in. But it needs to sync, which is now what we are going to do. So now that we've got that sorted out, don't put the slide control on 1, just put that back to 0. Scroll all the way down to the song, right click the song, and open up the keyframe assistant, then convert audio to keyframes. You'll notice it loads for a few seconds and it may make it goes to the start of the comp. Don't worry about that, that's perfectly normal, it does that all the time. Another thing to add, make sure that the null object is literally called null1 so that it works with the script. Now you can get rid of the left and right channel effects from the audio amplitude. Open up the audio amplitude and go to both channels and just click the slider and then open up the graph editor. So you'll see it kind of looks like a visualizer, doesn't it? So you're going to want to look for all the really high points. So if you've looked at Captain Nick's background tutorial, he'll do the exact same thing for making sync. So you should totally watch that as well. Captain Nick is a pretty decent intro maker. So right there, that is where the actual hit is. So it's like really high up, which means that's probably a beat. So you're going to want to grab this thing, which is a marker, and just drag it along this grey timeline, hold shift until it just snaps onto the blue bit, then look for the next part. You want to also make sure that the actual high bits sound like a beat instead of just a part of the song. So right there, that sounds like a beat to me. I'm going to put that as 2 by scrolling along the thing. Okay, that seems like a beat. I'm going to drag that along onto there. Oh, that's actually a beat right there as well. So, let's see if the markers match. Okay, that's cool. Now you can just delete the audio amplitude because you don't need it anymore. You've got the markers along the top of the timeline. There you go. Done and dusted. Let's open up the null object and go to the slider control. So press 1 and it'll automatically put you right where the marker is for your first one. And you're going to want to keyframe the slider on 0 to begin with. Zoom in all the way so you can see like the 5F, 6F, because that's like every individual frame. Move this blue thing about 3 long, so that's 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4 long. So then you should just go from whatever frame to basically plus 4 more frames. So say this was 7F, that would go to whatever comes after that. So in this case it's 4F to 8F because it's plus 4 frames. So this has to go on 1 for this second keyframe. Copy them 2 keyframes and just drag the thing all the way to them markers and hold shift so it like snaps on until you've eventually, I'm pretty fast at this mind you, pasted it all. So you've got to make sure that the previous one's actually selected, so don't deselect it. And eventually, once you've pasted them all in, yep, I've pasted them all in there. Now when you watch the thing, it looks like it's synced with it. But then you realise that the background, that's not synced, or the splines. What's going on? Well, you can sort that out pretty easily. Close up this null object, and I'm going to begin by actually time remapping the background. So time remap. What's that? It's pretty cool. You're basically just adjusting the way that the time's working, therefore syncing with it. So right click on the biggie G and go to time and then enable time remapping. Add a keyframe on every single one. So this is going to take a lot longer, so you can't copy and paste it, because if you copy and paste it, it's just going to look like it's frozen. So go to every keyframe and just add the thing using this keyframe button. So this takes a good while to eventually put keyframes on all where the markers are. There we go. So nothing's going to happen for now, but that's where we highlight every single one. In the middle, not at the end and the start. Make sure you don't touch them. And just press F9 to easy ease them. So you'll go into this graph, but right click, instead of being in speed graph, put it in edit value graph instead of edit speed graph. So value graph, you'll get this. So you want to press this button that I'm going to show on screen because I have no idea what this button's called. You just press that, the one that's above tab, and you'll put it in full screen just like this. So you'll see all these little white things. So I'd zoom in until you can see just about where the middle one is. So make sure that it's like one that's actually got both the yellow dots pre-aligned. So this one seems pretty good for that. So on this right dot, let's just drag that all the way to the top, and then just like tilt it a bit to the side like that. And drag this one all the way at the bottom. And just put that to the side. So make sure they're nice and short and actually match with what they used to look like, but like tilted. So now when you play it, you should get a really nice smooth time remap. So now when you look at the background should be synced just like this actual camera. So that's pretty cool. Now you can just copy this entire time remap thing and go right to the start of the intro and just put it on the splines. So now when you play it, the splines and the background are going to be synced. Okay, so now that we've got the background synced, let's get the splines sorted out. So once again, right click, time, enable time remapping, and go to every marker, just like we did earlier. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and just make sure it kind of looks the same but without the easing sorted out. Until eventually it's got all the keyframes sorted out. So once again, same method, easy ease them keyframes, and once again go full screen using that button so that like toggles it in and out of full screen like that, and just do the same thing with the time, tilt to the right, drag it, tilt it to the right or the left even. So now I'm going to put the splines, background and camera are synced. So you should get something like this as the final result. So now the text will just be shaken and like other things will be shaken. And so you don't want that to happen. So let's make an end transition. So right here is where I want my end transition. So I'm just going to make a simple sword transition since I can't be bothered, or I don't want to seem like this tutorial is going to be too complex. So I'm just going to go over the simple slash, but I'm also going to try to use a sound effect for that. So let's just create a new black solid. Put the scale to 400, and you want to zoom out for this. So rotate it, so I am going to move that down. So look for a point where you think it's going to look good for a nice slash. I think I want it to slash from the top right, so basically make sure you can like do that with it. So put it like right at the corner, and put a position keyframe right at the start of the slash, and go a bit along, and just cover the whole intro up. And once again, we're going to ease it using the easy ease F9 or keyframe assistant. Put it back onto the speed graph and just drag it all the way to the left as normal. And you should just get it black, pretty regular, normal, slash. Easy enough. So I'm going to actually add a fill to this because we want more depth in the slash. So I'm going to have this as white, and then I'm going to duplicate it, move it a bit to the right, and make this one orange. Duplicate it again, move it to the right, and now we're going to put a green screen or something. So here's a good way to analyze if it's a green screen. So orange is between red and green, so red and green screens are bad, so that means blue screens are good. So on this RNG and B thing, if you want it to be an entirely blue screen or something, so entirely green screen, you put the green all the way to 255 and put the others on 0. So in my case, I'm using a blue screen, so 0, oops. It's starting to get a bit laggy, so at this point I'm probably going to save, which would be a good idea because After Effects has a very good tendency of crashing, and when it crashes, most of the time you'll end up screaming. So I'm just going to save that as tutorial.app. A lot of people call it an AEP, but I just call it an app because it's just easier. So you don't need to have it as blue screen, so you could have it as a black screen or whatever, but It's up to you if you want to have a screen or not. So now when you play it, you've got a nice slash right there. And I did promise earlier that I was going to add a cool other effect, so let's add some glow to the sink. Pretty damn cool. So let's just add the glow effect on the same transform thing. So just put this underneath the transform of the sink. So it's going to look a bit weird for now. It looks like it's some kind of distorted meme, but just make it until it looks a bit like this kind of glow right here. So this one is just like the sink, so close up the transform, open up the glow, and put the glow intensity keyframed as 0 on the first marker. Go up to about 4, so 4 and then 8. Put it to 1 and just copy this. And just go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, then 9, 10, 11, 14, 15, because I've got my markers set weirdly. 11, 12, and 13. So now when I play it, for the sink you want to have the glow radius on about 500. And now when you play the finished entire intro, you should actually also close the adjustment layer up until number 1 so that it doesn't have a shadow underneath the swirl. And as I said earlier, we were going to kind of make some magic bullet looking effect thing. And, well, I made a promise. I can't just say, oh, I'm not going to do that promise anymore. I'm going to add another glow, this time with a glow intensity of 0.2. And then just put the glow at about a glow radius of 150 and a threshold of exactly 100. So when you turn that off, it kind of like saturates it a bit and makes it look a bit nicer. And now we're going to add the curves effect. This is where we're going to go a bit advanced. So on this one, we're going to move this a bit down and then move this one a bit up. Only a little bit, so don't make it too substantial. Like, this is only a little effect to do pretty much nothing. Now it looks as if we just use magic bullet looks or something, and that looks pretty cool. Now this glow is pretty so you're gonna just want to place all of it in a composition, apart from the song of course, because we're gonna add a shutter, and we're also gonna add something else, which I just forgot what I was about to do. Oh yeah, the blue screen on the first part. So I'm just going to put this whole intro. So the whole intro is going to be in composition. You can show and hide the composition and it'll just hide the entire composition. So to optimize it, let's go all the way to where the swirl starts. So I will probably just, yeah. So cut it off and yeah, there we go. So right after like this slash complete and you can't see the orange and white anymore, just close it off. And now let's do the next part. So add a blue solid, it's the same color as the actual blue screen. And right where this intro ends on like this composition, put the blue solid there, so then it'll make it easier for your computer to render the intro. That, my friends, is called optimization. So, on the bottom, that's not blue, that's a problem. Duplicate this blue solid and just fill it all up right until the end. So now, when you play it, there's going to be a blue screen. So this basically looks like it's a finished intro, doesn't it? Not quite. Let's add a shutter. Shutter, I don't know. So this is the part where it just about jumps in, so I'm going to add a black solid this time, not blue. Completely black. Boring. Add the CC Jaws effect. And put the completion to 60 for now, so you'll kind of have this like spiky thing as it comes to the name as Jaws. So just put the height to 0. So now it looks like a shutter, so you can change the height and it'll look like a proper shutter. So put the completion to 100 for now. And here is where I want the shutter to jump in, so go about 1 second along from where you put that keyframe. and put the completion to 80. That's a good thing for sure, because then it doesn't close it in too much and it doesn't close it in not enough. So easy, easy. Drag it over to the left. You already know the keyframe system thing, F9, blah blah blah. Now when you play it, you'll eventually, after all that pain, have this brilliant intro. So where the slash is, you want to actually make the shutter come up. So I'm going to keyframe the completion from 80 and right until about halfway through the slash. To the end of the slash, but the completion just 100. So now you get this. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Now, this is also going to be linked in the description. Let's add a slash sound effect. So I'm going to go into my sounds and stuff, and I'm just going to put this in. Right at the start you'll hear the slash, so look for where you want the actual slash cut thing to happen here, and just put it right. So you want to actually open up the intro end audio and just put that to like maximum audio levels. So make sure that like this really loud part is about here. So now when I hear it, I've got a sound effect here. You want to drag it across the timeline till basically like when it's about like there, make sure this high point right there on the thing is there, so then you'll hear syncing. Everything's like synced up and it's lovely, and it looks as if a pro made it. Let's render it. So that's pretty easy to do. I would suggest if you've just got After Effects, you get Adobe Media Encoder with it, because what Adobe Media Encoder does is basically renders the intro in a much easier way. So if I go and click File and then click Export, add to Adobe Media Encoder queue, click on that, and here we go, my Media Encoder CC is opening up. You'll have to wait. You'll actually make sure that your Media Encoder CC version is just like your After Effects version. So I've got CC 2018 for After Effects and CC 2018 for Encoder. So that means that they'll sync up happily. So if I were to put like CS6 After Effects with CC 2018 Encoder, it's not going to work properly. So in your case, if you just got After Effects, this entire list will be empty, so I'm just going to empty mine out. After a few seconds or so, it should appear in the thing as, well, the tutorial comp. And look for a place you want it to be stored, so I'm happy with mine going on the desktop in tutorial_AME. Now you're going to want to go into the settings where it says match source high bit rate. You want to click on that. It's going to load this up for a few seconds. Don't worry, you haven't broken it yet. And then make sure that the format is H.264. It usually presets it as this, but I don't know that for sure. I've had AME for a very long time, so I don't know exactly what it used to be preset to. But I'm just going to imagine that it's preset like this, so just H.264, match source high bit rate, and just press OK. And then just click File, Start Queue. And it should just render it like this. So from the start it'll start like loading it really quick. Then when the intro actually comes in, it could take a few minutes. So like it says it'll take 47 seconds, but it won't take that long, because now that the swirls began, you'll see that it gradually takes a lot longer. Usually it depends on your computer specs how fast it will render, but as I said earlier, I hope this tutorial served you well. I'm going to let this render, and then I can upload this along with the tutorial with the editing and stuff. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.